The other thing that I heard recently, and I heard this on a podcast I was listening to, Ed Milet's podcast with Alex Hermosi, and he was talking about how most forms of marketing are linear equations where you just do more of them, right? You
Yeah.
do more content, you have a bigger output. You do more ad spend, you do more advertising, you get more output. Well, the thing that's nonlinear or exponential is referrals. One
Yeah.
person introduces you to two introduces you to six or whatever. It's exponential. And I think that's where your recommendation of the newsletter really
hmm
comes into play
It's a great
is
point.
those referral situations.
Yeah, for sure.
And the other thing too is this. I think a lot of the attorneys are willing to do the execution, willing to do the writing, even roll up their sleeves and do it themselves. They get, they're trying to keep their operating. Maybe there's some solo practitioners listening and they're trying to keep their operating expenses low. So how do they come up with topics?
Yeah.
They're willing to write, but what do they do to come up with topics?
I think the easiest place to start is with frequently asked questions and just think about all the questions that typically get asked during, a prospect call or questions that you wish your prospects would ask you and build a list of those and start with those as your topics. And, you can kind of create, easy ways to do it where if an attorney maybe doesn't want to write, but is more comfortable, doing an audio file where they answer the question, then get the transcript or get the file transcribed, and then edit it and, make it pretty to post. There's a lot of ways to kind of get started, but I think the frequently asked questions is the best and easiest way because there's probably no shortage of those. And again, you can, start with like the basics and then go deeper, build deeper. And the deeper you build your content, the more you'll stand out, the more you'll show up. But I always go back to, because there's strategies to show up and, kind of make sure, Google finds you. And we always say, we write for humans first, search engine second. And granted, if we're just writing for humans and no one can find us, it's not that valuable. But I think the more that you write or create content that it really is valuable for your audience, the more you'll get rewarded. And that seems to be the trend with Google anyway, as they constantly update their algorithms. It always seems in pursuit of providing the best user experience. And so I think if you think of it that way and just really, provide value to your audience, like, hey, if you could kind of give this content to maybe your sister or family member, so they would know what to do, what would that look like? And I think if you come at it from there, more the heart than the head, you're going to win.
I agree with all of that. And I haven't done this for a long time, Wendy, but there's a directory, a legal directory called Avo. They were acquired by internet brands. And when they were at the top of the game and more visible, they had this section where consumers could ask legal questions. And I would always see all the attorneys answering on platform. Well, then 8 other attorneys or 15 other attorneys would answer the same question. When how much better use of their time would have been to just take that and turn it into a blog and put it on their own website or put it on social media. And I see that a lot. And now that Google has these related questions, so it makes it a little easier there, or you can go to a number of tools, Ahrefs or SEMrush, but I still see that really not done to the full capacity that could be done.
Yeah. And they could play around with doing like Facebook Lives or LinkedIn Lives or their own podcast. I mean, I think it's great to, again, the more you can just provide that valuable information and answer those questions, you can repurpose content to multiple ways. So I'm sure you know this, you can take a podcast and turn it into show notes and social posts and, probably 4 or 5 blogs. And so that's another tip, is to think about how to take, pieces of content and repurpose it into multiple forms so that you're really leveraging that content and not kind of just like one and done. Oh, I did a blog, done, it's like there's a lot of ways to repurpose it.
Yeah, I think Gary Vee put out a post.
Yeah.
I think it was like a year or two ago where he said how to create, I believe it was 64 or 128 pieces of content a
Yeah.
day. And yeah, that was just, I think the key takeaway is you can make long form content in some manner, whether you're speaking at a legal event or you're hosting your own podcast or it could be a long form article. And then you can just chop those up into a ton of little pieces because consumers a lot of times just don't want to read a 30-page,
Absolutely.
a very lengthy landing page, but they would like to consume little sections of it.
Yeah. No, for sure. And even when you're creating longer form content, like we try to do, call outs and create images with some of the key takeaways so that someone can see like, hey, the research is there. There's a meaty piece of content there, but maybe they only grab, the things that we call out and they still get value.